It was supposed to be a celebration, primetime lights, the whiteout, a chance to stretch the lead in the division and put on a show for the home crowd. But instead, what unfolded in Orchard Park was something entirely different. The Buffalo Bills walked off the field with their first loss of the season, falling poor a score of 23-20 in a game where nothing felt right. And if we're being honest, it wasn't just a loss. It was a gut check, the kind of wake-up call that strips away hype, stats, and assumptions. Because let's not sugarcoat it. The Patriots didn't just show up, they executed. Meanwhile, the Bills looked lost, disjointed, and at times careless. From the first snap, something felt off. The energy was flat. The execution was messy. And the tone was set by a series of self-inflicted wounds. 3 turnovers, 11 penalties, and a handful of head-scratching play calls left the Bills stumbling through a game they should have had under control. But here's the thing. In the NFL, you don't get style points for potential. You either show up and execute, or you pay the price. And Sunday night, the Bills paid. Josh Allen, the heart and soul of this team, had a night he'll want to forget. A fumble, an interception, and a general sense of trying to do too much too often. And listen, it's not all on him. He's had to carry this offense more times than not. And when the pieces around him don't step up, the burden gets heavier. But even Allen would probably tell you, the mistakes were costly. The misread on the interception, that wasn't a throw you make on second down in field goal range. That was a heat check, a frustration throw, and it swung momentum at a critical time. And speaking of momentum, the Patriots didn't just take advantage of Buffalo's mistakes. They capitalized with ruthless efficiency. Drake May, under the bright lights and in a hostile environment, looked unfazed. Calm, composed, and clinical, the rookie quarterback outplayed Josh Allen. That's not hyperbole. That's just facts. He moved the chains, protected the football, and most importantly, got the ball to his number 1 guy, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, that guy. Bills fans don't need reminding of who Diggs is or what he brings to the table. But watching him dominate this secondary had to sting. Not because he's a traitor or a villain, but because the truth is the Bills miss that kind of player. That guy who doesn't just want the moment, but demands it. Diggs came out on fire. From the first play, from the coin toss where he walked out as captain, it was clear this game was personal. And it showed. Over 100 yards, game-breaking catches, and a presence that tilted the field every time he lined up. Buffalo's defense had no answer. Benford couldn't handle him. Tre'Davious White couldn't handle him. Safeties gave extra help, and it didn't matter. He wanted it more, and he took it. Now let's go back to the Bills' offense, because that's where things really started to unravel. We've talked all season about everybody eats, spreading the ball around, not relying on just one target. It sounds great in theory, but when you're up against tight man coverage, when your receivers have to win their matchups one-on-one, well, Sunday night made one thing clear. This team doesn't have enough guys who can beat their man. No true WR1 stepped up. No separator. And when you looked at the stat sheet, the only consistent mismatch was Dalton Kincaid. The second-year tight end had a career day. Over 100 yards, crisp routes, sure hands. He was Allen's only reliable option in a night where everything else felt forced. He won his matchups. He got open. He delivered. And Josh noticed. You could see it, the quick reads, the trust, the rhythm. That connection was the lone bright spot in a muddy performance. But one man can't carry a whole offense, especially when the rest of the game plan feels like it's trying to be too cute for its own good. Which brings us to Joe Brady. Look, we know coordinators want to put their stamp on a game, but this one felt like he outthought himself. The Dawson Knox jet sweep? Why? When has that play ever made sense? Then there's the flea flicker after a fumble recovery. It felt like Brady was trying to win the chess match before establishing the basics. Meanwhile, James Cook, the team's most dynamic weapon on the ground, only had 13 carries. In a one-possession game, that's not enough. And then you see Ray Davis getting handoffs in key spots. You're left wondering, is this about identity or ego? Because this offense thrives when it leans into what it does best, letting Allen dictate tempo, running the ball to balance things out, and finding rhythm in the short and intermediate game. Instead, we saw forced throws, abandoned drives, and no real cohesion. It didn't feel like a game plan built to win. It felt like a game plan built to impress, and it didn't. On the defensive side of the ball, things weren't much better. Yes, they kept the game close in the first half. Yes, they had moments. But in the second half, when it mattered most, they couldn't get the stop. They couldn't get the sack. And they couldn't slow down Drake May. The rookie stayed poised, used his legs to escape pressure, and delivered in crunch time. His poise was impressive. His execution even more so. And let's be real, Buffalo's pass rush didn't get home. Not consistently. Not when it counted. And that's a problem that's been brewing. Injuries have piled up. Matt Milano is out again. Trey White is down. They've been trying to plug holes with effort and depth, but the cracks are showing. Gregory Rousseau had a few flashes. Shaq Thompson had a moment. But there's no consistent edge presence. No game wrecker. And when you pair that with a secondary that's constantly trying to cover elite receivers like Diggs without help, you're going to get burned. And they got burned. So what do you take away from a night like this? Some will say it's just one loss. And yeah, technically it is. The Bills are still 4-1. Still a playoff team. Still dangerous. But peel back the record, and what you see is a team that has been flirting with this kind of performance for weeks. Sloppy starts, slow first halves, inconsistent rhythm, relying on Josh Allen to bail them out at the end. Against teams like the Saints, you get away with it. Against a team that's prepared and opportunistic like New England was on Sunday night, you don't. It's not just about being talented. It's about being disciplined. It's about showing up from snap one and playing your brand of football, not getting dragged into someone else's game. And that's exactly what happened. The Bills didn't dictate this game. They reacted to it. And in doing so, they played the way the Patriots wanted them to play. Slow, sloppy, and full of mistakes. It's easy to look at a game like this and pin it on one moment, one turnover, one blown coverage. But that will be ignoring the broader issue. What happened in this loss wasn't about a single misstep. It was about a pattern that's been building over the past few weeks. The warning signs have been there. The offense going silent for quarters of time. The defense struggling to close out drives. The lack of explosive plays when they need them most. And Sunday night, those cracks turned into something bigger. They weren't just exposed, they were exploited. Drake May's performance can't be brushed off as a fluke. This wasn't some rookie catching lightning in a bottle. He looked composed from the first snap, made the smart reads, took what the defense gave him, and never tried to do too much. That's what made it so impressive. He didn't have to be Superman. He didn't need to scramble around and make something out of nothing. He just ran the offense, kept the chains moving, and found his playmaker in Stephon Diggs. Again and again. And when it mattered most, he made the throw. That final drive? That was a statement. The flip side of that is the Bills' defense, which looked reactive instead of proactive. There were moments where it looked like they might turn the tide. A sack here, a pressure there, but they never took control. And when the Patriots needed a drive to win it, they got it without much resistance. That's not something you expect from a team that's built its identity on toughness and execution. And it raises a question. Are the injuries starting to catch up to them? Losing leaders like Milano and Trey White isn't just about talent. It's about communication, trust, and leadership. And those things can't be replaced overnight. Then you look at the receiving core, and it becomes painfully clear the Bills don't have enough weapons. Not reliable ones. Not in big moments. Diggs was that guy for years. The one who you knew would be open, who could win against any coverage, who thrived in the spotlight. Right now, there isn't anyone filling that void. Keon Coleman had a nice touchdown catch. Curtis Samuel made a couple of plays. But nothing consistent. Nothing that makes a defense sweat. And when you face man coverage, you need receivers who can separate. The Patriots knew that. They played tight, aggressive, physical defense, and Buffalo couldn't respond. It puts even more pressure on Dalton Kincaid, who stepped up in a big way, but can't be expected to carry the entire load. His routes were sharp. His hands were sure. He was the one guy who seemed to consistently find space. That should be a sign of hope moving forward, that maybe he's turning into the kind of weapon this offense needs. But the fact that he was the only bright spot in the passing game also highlights the imbalance. You can't build an offense where everything relies on Allen creating magic and one or two guys trying to make something happen. That's not sustainable. That's not championship football. And let's talk about that play calling again, because, frankly, it was all over the place. The creativity is one thing, but there's a fine line between clever and careless. In some of those sequences, the jet sweep to Dawson Knox, the flea flicker after a turnover, felt like plays drawn up without thinking about who was actually on the field. Knox isn't that guy. Ray Davis shouldn't be getting touches over Cook in critical moments. And yet, that's exactly what we saw. There's nothing wrong with mixing things up, but you can't abandon what works. And James Cook, even with limited touches, was one play away from breaking off a game changer. 13 carries just isn't enough when your quarterback is getting hit constantly and your receivers aren't getting separation. At times, it even felt like Josh Allen knew it. You could see it in the way he started scrambling more, trying to make things happen on his own. That second half scramble, the one where he dropped his shoulder and took the hit, that wasn't just about getting the first down. That was frustration. That was Allen trying to inject some life into a lifeless offense. And yeah, it led to a touchdown eventually, but it came at a cost. Allen was getting beat up all night. And when he starts playing with that kind of desperation, it usually means the plan isn't working. The Patriots, on the other hand, came in with a clear identity. They weren't flashy. They weren't perfect, but they were prepared. And they executed. That's what makes this loss sting even more. This wasn't a game where the Bills were outclassed in talent. This was a game where they were outcoached, outplayed, and outhustled. And that's not supposed to happen, especially at home, in a primetime game, with everything lined up in your favor. And then there's the penalties. 11 flags, pre-snap mistakes, holding calls, lining up wrong, mental errors that you just don't expect from a veteran team. Those are focus issues, discipline issues, things that have nothing to do with talent and everything to do with mindset. And when you hear Sean McDermott say after the game that this team needs to get back to fundamentals, that tells you everything you need to know. The details are slipping. And in a league where margins are razor thin, that's all it takes. But perhaps the most frustrating part is that this wasn't a game where the Bills got blown out. They were right there. They had chances. Despite all the turnovers, the penalties, the questionable play calling, they were still in it until the final whistle. That's what makes it even harder to swallow. Because if they clean up just a few of those mistakes, they probably win this game. And we're having a completely different conversation right now. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. In a shocking turn of events that has left fans and analysts alike reeling, whispers are circulating around the NFL world suggesting that Josh Allen, the star quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, may be on the verge of a dramatic exit. Sources close to the team have hinted that Allen could announce his departure immediately following the upcoming game, sparking intense speculation about what this would mean for the franchise and the league as a whole. Allen, who has been the cornerstone of Buffalo's offense for several seasons, has elevated the Bills into perennial playoff contenders and brought a renewed sense of energy to a fanbase long starved for championship contention. His combination of arm strength, mobility, and leadership has made him a generational talent. And yet, murmurs of discontent have begun to surface. Insiders suggest that contract negotiations, team direction, and personal ambitions may all be factors contributing to this potential bombshell. The timing of the announcement, reportedly set for immediately after the next game, adds a dramatic flair that has already set social media ablaze. Pundits are speculating on which teams could emerge as frontrunners in the scramble to acquire Allen should he indeed leave Buffalo. Teams known for their quarterback needs and cap flexibility are likely circling like vultures, ready to make bold moves in what could become the most consequential free agent saga of the decade. Fans in Buffalo are bracing for heartbreak, while the league at large is buzzing with anticipation. Analysts are debating how the Bills' offensive strategy might shift in Allen's absence, with names like backup quarterbacks and potential draft picks being thrown into the conversation. Yet, amid the chaos, one thing remains clear. Wherever Josh Allen lands, the NFL landscape is about to be reshaped in a way few could have predicted. As the clock ticks down to what could be a historic announcement, the tension is palpable. Whether this is a calculated move by Allen to explore new horizons or a dramatic shakeup forced by behind-the-scenes disagreements, the ripple effects are already being felt across the league. For now, fans, commentators, and rival franchises can only wait and speculate about the next chapter in the saga of one of football's brightest stars. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.